Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
And this is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. The movie of the day is A Prophet. It's another French film. That's the theme of this month is French crime-related films. It's from 2010, so still fairly new, but still want to give everyone a spoiler warning before we start talking.
This is an interesting one.
It. So I don't remember how I stumbled on this movie. It was probably on TikTok as usual, but after watching the trailer and then actually watching the film, it wasn't what I expected. Like, I think I expected this to be like a crime. I mean, not a crime, but like a spy type of film. No idea
Yeah, the
why.
trailer does not match what the movie
No.
is because it's like he's like running around and there's
Yeah.
like pauses and stuff all over the place.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a cool freaking spy
Yeah,
film in France. And then you watch the film and you're like, no, you're just in prison with this man as
yeah,
he's going through it.
it's like Oz or something
Yeah.
in France. And then there's like this dynamic of like I was telling Patty, I was like, is that dude like supposedly the mob? Like, is that the
It's
mob?
got to be.
Yeah, it's
But then
interesting. It's because it's like a coming of age story because like he's
yeah.
like 19 when he goes into prison, right? And he's
Yeah.
like
Which
serving
he doesn't
eight
look
years.
19, so that throws you
No,
off.
no, he looks like, and he looks way different when they shave his head.
Yeah. Yes. Like he
But
becomes a different person throughout that entire film. Like outside of just the character growth, like he becomes a different looking person. You're like, am I still watching the same film?
yeah, because like he has like crazy hair in the beginning, they
Hmm.
shave it, and then gradually it grows back.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool about it because it shows time progression,
Hmm.
and because like 8 years doesn't seem like a lot of time, but that's a lot of time
But when you're locked
because
in the same repetition over and over and over every day, 8 years is oof.
yeah. And then I was thinking in my head, I was like, this guy got a lot done in like eight
Yeah.
years. Like there was a lot going on, and I was like, all right, well, like if you have a lot of time on your hands, yeah, you're gonna get stuff done and
You'll figure it out. Yeah.
everything.
But just how he like embedded himself in the mob and how he moved up the ranks was interesting to watch because they don't really okay. So I like that they didn't outright just say, "Hey, this is this character," and give all the names out. I like how they slowly were like, "Boom, plaster it on the screen. This is this character," and they did that throughout the whole movie for like key characters,
Yeah,
and then yeah, just following him, and he doesn't know how to read very well. He speaks two languages, but he's not like really proficient in either. But he's willing to learn and grow, and then he utilizes that to learn a freaking third language in prison just
yeah.
by listening to these guys speak. And it's like, what?
Yeah, I'm over here trying to like learn Spanish with Duolingo and everything. But all right, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So the whole story of it is that yes, it's like a coming of age story that he's an Arab individual in France, goes to prison and he's like 19, but
Mm-hmm.
then he meets this person that speaks not Italian but
Oh, sis,
Corsican or
Corsian.
something,
Yeah.
which is I think it's a dialect of like southern France and Italy.
Italy.
Like some Italians use it.
Yeah.
So then he befriends or like starts to kind of help out
Yeah.
the mob boss, the main guy. And Patty was like instantly like she was like you can tell like he's a pretty good actor, the old guy that plays the mob boss, but he's like
Mm-hmm.
he like
Oh,
walks
Caesar.
around and stuff. Yeah, Caesar, and he walks
Yeah.
around with like, oh, he's like, I'm not even gonna look at anybody until they open the
Yeah.
door.
But
But
just
like so,
seeing the difference, like you watch prison movies from the US and
mm,
everybody's in a jumpsuit, everybody is like in uniform, whatever. It was totally different out there. Like they
yeah,
had
that's
full on like apartments, they had TVs, they had their own outfits. Like Caesar was wearing a leather jacket throughout the whole movie, which
yeah.
blew my mind.
Yeah, it's like that. That's like I wrote down. I was like, do other countries allow their prisoners to wear whatever they want?
No, but what threw me off was the leave days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like good behavior is like, hey, you can leave for a day, just come back.
Yeah.
And freaking Malik was just out wilding out, just like
He was able to
flying to
kill
different
multiple people
countries,
while and yeah, fly to different countries.
and then come back
but
like, hey, I'm back.
but in terms of like, so he in the whole story, like he like goes against his own people because like there's
Mhm.
also Arab people that kind of band together, and so like different races kind of stick with each other.
Like the
But
segregation within the
the
prison, yeah.
segregation, yeah, everyone kind of knows like when prison kind of goes back to like these hard times where it's like you just kind of are protected by your own people.
Hmm.
So but he goes and helps out this Italian or whatever mob boss type of person. So he's kind of like going against his own people.
Hmm.
And then eventually kind of climbs up, but then he plays this scheme to
Yeah,
then like reduce the influence of the mob and raise up the influence of the Arab people.
yeah.
So my question is, did you believe that that was his end game from starting off? Did he know this is where I need to start because they have no power?
Hmm.
Like, was that his like initial goal?
I think after he killed
The main guy,
Rahib,
yeah,
I don't want to mess up the name, but after he killed that character, I think that's when his mind switched, because he was
interesting.
like in prison, brand new, and then it was like, hey, we need you to kill this person, and it was a person that looked like him, and I think that's what gave him that different outlook of like, okay, I can utilize what the power that these guys have in order to bring my people up and make them powerful.
Yeah, because it was pretty interesting because like I was like towards the end, kind of middle,
Hmm.
Patty was like still she was like what is like what's his deal, like what is he trying to do? And I was like I think
Yeah,
he's trying to like dissolve whatever this dude has to like, and then like once you start seeing that they start attacking each other because she was like why didn't he kill the guy, and I
yeah.
was like I think there's a reason for that, and it was like really interesting to watch the progression because like I think that also helps with the progression of the character because you see
Hmm.
him change over time, so you know time is changing or time is going, so it helps your brain understand that yes, this is possible because
Yeah,
a long time has passed by. Because if it starts happening out of nowhere, I think some movies do
it's
have
like,
that falter where like you don't understand the timeline.
yeah.
But I think this you can kind of watch it and you're like, all right, I understand that there's you understand the timeline, but then also you understand that like every day looks the same
Hmm.
because of
Especially in
prison and all
prison,
that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
But I think, not to kind of get into dislikes too early, but I think this would have, at least in my eyes, I think this would have been better as a mini series or like a TV show. Like it felt, as I was watching it, it just felt, the pacing felt too slow. I felt like there was just a lot of like,
downtime.
yeah, just conversations with between Malik and Caesar, and the not flashbacks, but the conversations he was having with Rahib after he killed him. Like he would just be
Mm-hmm.
in the cell and they would have full on conversations of what should be done. That seemed like they dwelled on it too much. Like it seemed like if they had just a few of those, it would be okay. But it seemed like they extended that. Like, oh, let's have a bunch of these conversations.
Yeah, it almost seems like I get that where it's like it like we always kind of say, or I think I we always kind of say that like all right, the the time of this movie or how long this movie is, you either feel it or you don't, and the
Hmm.
ones you don't feel it and you're like whoa, like that, like 2 hours went by and you're like I
Yeah.
watched this whole epic. This one you did feel it. It was like
Hmm.
2 and something hours and stuff,
2:30,
and
2:40.
yeah, so like in the middle of it, yeah, because like you do feel it, and I think, but also, all right, do we see because we're in the golden age of like miniseries or
Hmm.
like TV shows that are like 10 episodes, an hour each, and all that stuff. Do you think in the time that like 2010 that wasn't so prevalent. So it was a movie
I think
owned
2010 was
by.
like the beginning of that because I think didn't Stranger Things come out in like 20? No, no,
But
that
this
was
is
too
coming out
early.
in France,
Yeah, that's
so
true.
yeah. So it's like America.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I guess I wonder if like outside of like other countries, is it
Mhm.
easier to sell a movie and just be like I need to make it 3 hours
Yeah.
because I'm saying all this stuff.
Like I have a lot to go over. Like give me
Yeah.
2.5, 3 hours and I got you. That makes sense because I think in my head I was going straight to like, oh yeah, we just make people make miniseries all the time now. But
Mhm.
if you go back to 2010, that wasn't, like you said, as prevalent. So I guess it wouldn't make sense. But it
I don't
feels
know.
like if they
Maybe
were to make
maybe
it
this would
now,
have been a lot better as a miniseries. Like
because I
I
would have
think.
loved to see his story before prison, kind of like a
Mhm.
little brief backstory of his life and how he didn't grow up with his parents, and then his progression into like doing crimes, getting into juvenile center, and then eventually ending up in prison, and then maybe even touch on like Caesar's power outside of the prison before he went to prison. I would
Yeah,
have
what is
loved to
that
have seen that.
dynamic, and like
Yeah,
why is he in prison? Why do like he's in there for a long time? We're assuming
yeah,
too,
because his
and
team got out. Like his team was like
yeah, I was confused
whatever.
by that too. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like they're all leaving and stuff because like
Yeah,
they heard on the news that they were going to be moving
hmm,
those Corsian or whatever individuals to another prison,
yeah,
but they all got out. So
yeah.
I was,
But then Caesar was stuck, and I'm like, he
yeah,
must have really done something crazy if he's still in there.
yeah, and to bank off what you're saying too, I would like to know what Malik does afterwards. Like he comes out
Yeah,
of prison and it ends and stuff, and it's like you
yeah,
see this like weird kind of interaction with the his friend's wife and child
hmm,
and stuff, but then also these other people that kind of are with them and stuff, and so it's like how much power does he have, and how much power does he want outside of prison, or does he just want a normal life?
I think he wanted all the power because it seemed like he made that play with the hash, and I thought I wrote down his friend's name, but I can't find it on my notes. Um, but yeah, his friend was making moves, or they both were making moves outside of the prison,
Mm.
and it seemed like even though his friend had passed away, he was still trying to uh, keep that power because at the end there was there was three cars behind him, which was what him and his friend had talked about, like, hey, we need three vehicles and exits away from each other so we can get these
Mm.
transports done. And the movie ended with those three vehicles being behind him as he was walking, but we don't know what happened after that, so that would be interesting to see what happened after.
Do you assume that those are like his protection, like his life, like what his prison life kind of built, and then
Hmm.
he's walking away with his like personal life too? Because I'm assuming, like I think that's what his friend wanted, where it's like I want a father for my child after I'm dead,
Yeah.
but then also maybe a caregiver for or a possible husband. I don't know how that dynamics work, bro. Like if I die, am I
Yeah.
gonna ask you to take care of Patty?
Because he
So
was the
it's like,
godfather, but yeah, it seemed like that relationship with the wife was a little bit further than just being a godfather to the child.
yeah, you never know
But
and all that stuff.
mm,
But like, do we assume that those people are like because he acknowledged them when he came out?
yeah, I
And
think that's his team.
okay,
I think that's his team. At least that's how it felt. It was like, okay, that's his team. They're waiting for him to get out so that they can protect him.
yeah,
Because he was like, oh, let's go on a walk. And it's like, what? He's got out of prison. I'm not trying to walk. I'm trying to go
right.
home. Let me
You said
relax.
it's freezing too.
Yeah, because he zipped up the jacket. You're like, come on. Like, get in that car, get toasty, put the baby inside the car, and relax.
Yeah, yeah. And what's interesting too, the story. All right, like is this the movie that we looked up, and is was this France's like quote unquote like Godfather? Like, is this what they believe that their
No, no, no,
Godfather is?
no.
Okay,
No, that's
no,
another.
that's another film. Okay, I
Yeah,
was kept thinking in my head. I was like, I wouldn't think about this as the Godfather.
yeah.
I get like he's kind of like a Michael Corleone, where it's like he didn't want to, but then he's forced into the situation.
Hmm.
Um, because like the like I think the biggest likes that the biggest like I have with this movie is that there's that tension,
Yeah.
because like at first when he's in prison he's kind of like trying to be by himself and stuff and not worry about anything, but then when he's forced to say that I'm gonna kill this guy or they're gonna kill me,
Mm,
and the whole like interaction of like him trying to kill the guy because it messes up, and like he has to like confront him like face to face,
yeah.
like that's like really tense,
Hmm.
and you feel it and stuff, and so that like stuff like that was interesting,
Hmm.
and because you notice how raw he is, and then he almost kind of gets like he flips where it's like that you see the progression of his like confidence as he's
Yeah.
walking around with the porcine people, even though he's different and they treat him differently. um he he still walks with this confidence where I'm like, where you kind of understand that like, oh okay, he's understanding how much power he has, or at least some power, and then
Yeah.
he's building his own thing off to the side too with that whole hash thing.
Hmm.
It was a very interesting progression, and yeah, this was, I kept thinking about that, was this the Godfather? I was like I wouldn't say that.
So the movie you're thinking about is Les Samurai is the God.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, we are watching that at the end of the month
Yeah.
then.
That's in
Okay.
like what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, okay. So then
So yeah, we
I'm
haven't
gonna
seen
watch
that
that and be
yet.
like
Super critical about it. Like, nah, Michael Corleone wouldn't do that.
yeah, but yeah, you kind of went on like a negative already, but
Mhm.
what would you say is like a your true positive or something, or like what?
There's something I disliked but also liked was seeing him. I guess it's him coming to terms with his first murder. It's
Mm-hmm.
like something that's now attached to him now that he has a murder. Because he's done it. Like he can't get rid of something that he's done that was that like prolific in his life. So seeing those interactions of like, I guess him contemplating what he should do and seeing Rahib uh, during those sequences, I actually enjoyed it, but there was just too many of those interactions.
Yeah, you almost get confused as to what it is. Like,
Yeah.
is
Well,
he
even like the little the prophet flashes, like when they show
like
the
the dream
deers,
sequences? Yeah.
yeah, that kind of throws you off because it just happens and you're like, he's in prison, so he's not driving down the street. Like, what's going on? But that
Mm-hmm.
leads into, okay, he's driving in a car because he's on his leave day, and he knows like, oh, deja vu moment. There's a deer, watch out, and boom. So I have like a like and dislike for those sequences. They were shot beautifully, but it was just
Yeah,
like
that was
time
the
and
thing that
place.
kind of came to my mind, where it's like I like that it also went into like a first person perspective,
Hmm.
where also when he was like, I think he was talking to Caesar, when Caesar was like yelling at him and stuff, like it
Oh
kind of
yeah,
tunnel vision,
because his
and
eye
you
was
understand.
messed up.
Yeah, so you understand that like, all right, like you're in Malik's perspective,
Hmm.
and this is like probably intense too. Your eyes fucked up and everything.
Yeah.
So it was, there was like a bird like tapping on my but yeah, I like that it went into a first person perspective, which is, it's unique because we've seen some movies that go into a first person perspective. What comes to mind is that like Dwayne the Rock Johnson's like Doom
Oh
movie, where
gosh.
like they try
Hmm.
to mimic the first person. It was horrible,
Yeah.
but this kind of like puts you into his shoes,
Hmm.
theoretically and stuff, and so um, yeah, that was a like of mine because they were shot well, and
Yeah.
it didn't give you all like the whole deer sequence didn't give you all of the the
All
setting.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't give you everything. It just kind of gave you like this weird obscure, and it's almost like dream sequences where it's like
Hmm.
you're almost trying to like figure out what your brain's doing with the dream, like why is it telling me this, and it doesn't give you everything,
Hmm.
and so
You're trying to
yeah,
like
there's a
piece
lot
it
of,
together, and then the deers are coming. Like there's multiple deers, and you're like, is it just one deer or is it 5 deers?
right,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of complexity to the story
Hmm.
that can be lost on some people because
Yeah.
it's a lot of, it's draining sometimes. It's a long watch for sure.
Yeah. telling you, it should have been a miniseries.
Yeah, maybe it'd be interesting. Like I wonder if like yeah, that's what Americans do. They just kind of like go look for like stories and just turn them into miniseries or
Let's
something.
make a docu-series on this. Like,
Right.
okay. You stubbed your toe. Now we have to watch 10 episodes on it. Like, all right.
I'm
But
trying
I
to like
did,
look.
you touched on it before, but like I did like his progression into taking away all of Caesar's power.
Mm-hmm.
Because Caesar put him through hell. Like almost gouging his eye out, making him murder somebody, smack him in the face, and then kind of laughing about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so you feel for Malik, and then once he kind of gets over on Caesar, it's kind of like, okay, like yeah, you're doing some shady stuff on the side, but I'm happy that you don't have to deal with that guy anymore.
Yeah, you saw the product of his like his torment and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like he knew something's gonna come from this. Just deal with it now. Put your head down and kind of just go through it.
Yep.
And the ending portion where he like you can tell his power's gone, Caesar's, because now he had to go sit on his bench, but there's two other people sitting there, and he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
tell them to move or they don't move themselves. So you instantly see the change in the power dynamic because now he doesn't have anybody around him.
Yeah.
And then Patty was like, "Why would he walk towards Malik? Because he sees all these other people." I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"He's dumb. I don't know.
He's
Like maybe
he's
he thought."
done. Like,
And then Malik doesn't deal with it himself. He's like, he tells some other dude, "Hey,
yep.
go tell him to go away."
Yeah, that shift was perfect.
Yeah, I think thinking about the story, I like the complexity of the story where
Mm-hmm.
it is it is this kind of epic where it's like there's
Yeah.
a clear character arc and everything. There's a clear understanding what the character's trying to go through, and it's just I think we're gonna stick on like it's just a long watch,
Yeah.
and it sucked because I already had Lahane in my head, and that wasn't a long watch, but also if it was a little bit longer, it probably would have been like, all right, well, because that one was enjoyable to watch. There was a lot
Mm-hmm.
of like quick sequences of like seeing the progression of their life in that one day. Granted, this
Yeah.
was 8 years of like time going by, but I think that's what probably one of the downsides is that it's a little bit drawn out in the middle or
Yeah.
in some of the sequences.
Yeah. But there was a lot going on, but yeah, they could have condensed it. Because
Yeah, they
even
never.
the little side stories, like we got to watch as his friend got kidnapped,
Mm-hmm.
and then Malik has to deal with it in prison, so that when he was outside of prison, he can kind of get everything cleaned up and get his friend back. Like that was enjoyable. Like that sequence was a good watch. But there was so many other ones that was like, all right, cool. This was. Did we have to watch him make coffee 5 times? Like, come on.
I think the prison stuff is what kind of got too much, where it's like, all right,
Yeah,
like you're kind of you're here and stuff, but I guess that's a testament to like,
to prison.
okay, like anybody who wakes up in prison, it's like, oh shit, I got like 6 more years to live,
It's
or
the same
however long.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So and then the sequences outside of prison when he finally gets his leave and all this stuff, he does so much,
yeah. In
and
12 hours.
12 hours. He's able to fly places. He's able to kill multiple people,
Hmm.
and then go back to prison. And then they never figure it out. Like, does no one see him?
He has a straight up blood stain on his shirt, and they're just like,
Yeah.
"Hey, welcome back." Like, well,
But it's very interesting, kind of like walk through his life.
yeah, I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that I enjoyed it, but like we've been saying this entire time, like it just was a little too long.
What would you rate it?
I ended up giving it a 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but like, if just cut it down a little bit, and I would have been like, yeah, this is a 4, because I enjoyed everything outside of the prison, his interaction, the progression of his character, all of that. I enjoyed all of that, but yeah, just too long.
I ended up giving it a 4
Hmm.
because I enjoyed the ending. I think it's like more so it's like I'm trying to like, all right, what's the ending gonna tell me?
Yeah.
Like Lahane's ending was like, whoa. So, but I was like going back and forth on like a 3.5 to 4.
Okay.
Even though this movie is like highly rated, like when I
Yeah.
was like, I think I rented it on Amazon, on like Apple TV, and it's like 96% on like Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh
You can
man.
tell that there's really good kind of like storytelling,
Hmm.
good acting, very good acting,
Yeah.
and so this movie, I think you can really say it's a film and everything. I
Hmm.
think that like a lot of people, like I read subreddits or Reddit of like, oh, like there's a difference between film and movies, and like granted, Marvel movies are movies, like those are
Yeah.
just entertainment.
Yeah.
Film is supposed to be like
You're in a
it
new world. You're
yeah, it
immersed in it.
draws you into something,
Hmm.
and you feel whatever you feel. This one you could tell it is something that the director wanted you to feel something.
Yeah.
Maybe you felt it too much sometimes. So I don't know, like this would be interesting to watch on like a second watch. I wonder, like would it be more drawn out? Like I don't know.
That's what I was thinking though, was as I was watching it, I was like, okay, I enjoy it. And then once it finished, I was like, I wonder what this will feel like the second time. Because then you're picking up on the nuances of the film. So I think
Yeah,
that I would say, I know that's the next question is, I would recommend it, but I think I want to watch it for a second time and see if I still keep that rating or if I rate it higher.
I would recommend it too. It's hard to recommend it to people that don't like. Granted, everyone enjoys movies, but I
Hmm.
think you really have to enjoy like take the time out of your day to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And there's certain people that you wouldn't tell like, hey, you have to watch this movie. Like this is not
Yeah.
a movie I'm gonna say you have to watch this movie. I would say you have to watch Lahane,
Yes.
and then if you liked Lahane or that kind of like French kind of movie,
Crime dramas.
crime dramas, then you can progress to here to a prophet. Because I think a prophet's like a big ask to somebody like, hey, like watch this. Like
Yeah.
you have to really like. I'm thinking about like my cousin Ricky and stuff. I think would be like a person like would like take the movie and like really like want to look at the nuance and stuff. Where there's no doubt about it. There's some other people that wouldn't want to like. They will get kind of bored of all the nuance and like
Yeah.
there's all the storytelling. There's not a lot going on. So you have to really pick and choose who you recommend this to. But if you're wanting to recommend this movie, recommend Lahane, I think, first,
Yeah.
and then this movie. Or if you somehow randomly walk into somebody at the bar and they say that they watched Lahane, and be
What's
like, hey, have you
next?
watched The Prophet?
That's the truth though. Like, you have to be into films.
Yeah,
And not everyone is. Some people just want, like you said, entertainment. And this is one that, if you're into something that's going to immerse you in the world and you feel the pain and the struggle of a character, this is perfect for you. But that's not for everybody.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's why like what you said, miniseries are so approachable because it gives you that feeling, but at hour increments. And so if
Yeah.
you really don't want to watch a 2 hour and a something minute, I'm like trying not to sneeze. Um, 2 hour and something minutes at one go, a miniseries is pretty easy. Like Game of Thrones was easy for people to digest because it's like
Hmm.
an hour, and then it gave you this like crazy story, and then you waited a week for another hour of that
Yeah.
crazy story. Um, so yeah, would you buy it? Would you buy this movie for like your French collection, like era of your collection?
I would give it a second watch first. Like, I
Yeah.
think I'm going to plan on rewatching this a few months down the line to see how I feel about it. So I would rewatch it and then kind of gauge, like, I did like it, or it's still not what I wanted.
Yeah, to reiterate what I've been saying, I think I would buy Lahane more so than
Yeah.
this. Yeah, I probably wouldn't go out of my way to buy this one, even
Mhm.
though it's a very good movie and
Yeah.
I think it's a well made movie. Unless I really wanted, I found it and it's somewhere and it's like here's like a box set or something, or here's like a special edition of it. Then I'll probably go out of my way. But yeah, I probably wouldn't buy this one. I want to see what else we watch this month and
I'm
see whether or
excited.
not. Yeah, me
Yeah,
too. It's like this is a good kind of theme for the month, I think, and
yeah.
it kind of takes you out of your like norm because we're Americans, and so there's other like film cultures outside of America and stuff.
Hmm.
so
And we've
so
dabbled
it
a
kind of
little
grows.
bit, but now we're trying to like keep it compact in a month.
Yeah.
And yeah, we might have messed up by starting with Lahane, but we'll see how the other movies
Well,
are
we have like the
as this
French
month
Connection.
progresses.
I think that like the French Connection is supposed to be like
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
everyone's belief of like
Yeah.
what a French movie and stuff and all that. So we'll see.
And Le
But
Samurai, the Godson. We'll see how that is too.
yeah, so we'll see. We'll it's a lot of subtitle reading.
Hey, we may know French by the end of this month.
I know, right? All right, Kai, you want to take us out?
Yeah, thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason. I'll be back next week for another one.